And welcome back in to another episode of the Unblocked podcast. I'm Keith here with Brian and Coach. We're going to get into it today. We're lucky to be here at Lucky Irish Pub. Thank you for hosting us. Come by, see all the girls. It's Wednesday. It's Fireball Shot Day. Get it? We're going to run through a couple quick things. Our special guest today is going to be Mike Gottfried. We're going to talk a lot about what he does in the community. Brian's going to fill us in on that as well. Then we're going to get into a couple NFL scores and a couple other controversies going around the league at the moment. So, Coach Brian, why don't we bring on Mike? And guys, go ahead, have at it.
Coach Gottfried, Fred Riley here. I'm doing wonderful. It's good to visit with you. It's an honor to visit with you. You know, when you start talking about the Gottfrieds and the Gottfried legacy and all of y'all have meant to all the places that you've been, it's hard to decide where to start. But can you tell me a little bit about your growing up, your background, which obviously sheds light on the amount of time you spent trying to help young people?
Well, it was a real small town where Joe and Johnny and myself grew up in Crestline House, 5,000 people. And interesting, and we would be all be a part of sports. And we lived around the Harbaugh, and Gates Brown lived in the town. He became a player for the Detroit Tigers. A lot of these guys went on into coaching because of one man. And his name was Merle Hudson. Merle Hudson he was older now and he wasn't coaching, but he had won state tournaments and really was respected in the town. And he had a summer program where we would go play baseball at the Big South Side. We broke the city up in areas, and the Big South Side would play from 10 o'clock to 11:30, and then the Little South Side would play in their game.
That's great.
And then everybody would go swimming. And he knew him as coach. They always referred to him as coach. One of the first time when I was the head coach, for the first time, a kid yelled at me on my team. He said, "Coach," and I never even looked. I was the only coach I knew was Coach Hudson. And I'm a poor substitute for Coach Hudson. He was a great man. You know, a lot of these people went into coaching because of him teaching, and we had a lot of successful people come out of Preston because of that one man and a lot of other.
Yes, sir. Now you mentioned growing up with the Harbaughs. I mean, my family, the Riley family, grew up with the Underwoods, P.W. Underwood, and that family. Oh yeah, in Cordova, Alabama, and that stretch of road, and P.W. I got to meet him one time, and he talked about how they used to fight. All my dad and his brothers would fight the Underwoods, and he told me one time, said, "I probably whipped your dad's butt one time." And so did y'all in the Harbaughs fight? Did y'all have any goings on like that?
P.W. was a great coach. And no, we didn't fight much. I think we were just hoping somebody would come with a baseball or a football or basketball. So we didn't cause a lot of trouble. And I can honestly say I know Jack Harbaugh was very tough, and he got fights. He won 2 fights out at Kelly Park where after baseball game one time. But I actually kind of agree with everybody. Let's go our own way.
Yeah, but as competitive as all y'all were, you knew at some point in time somebody had to fight over whether he was out or safe, or whether that was a charge or a foul. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast.
Mike is
The oldest guy and the biggest guy had the choice of one.
That's great.
Mike. I've got one question, and I tell people often, with Coach DePietro passing away and Jerry Harbaugh passing away, we grew up like Sandlot, and I think people they literally don't get what the movie Sandlot has been instrumental from Crestline, Ohio, and literally it was Sandlot, and we can get Joe on here next week whenever his schedule works out, and he can tell about the guy that was tied up through his dad. Do you remember that story?
Yes, he was a very integral part of our team, because we needed one guy for baseball, one guy for kick the bucket, and his dad would come home. He was a railroad, and he'd time up. So we would have to send some. The old Joe DePietro went in the window and untied him, and we got the game going, and we got him back and tied him up before his dad came home.
What an awesome story! Now, obviously, we all know about your coaching career and team focus, but we all sort of get to a place in time where it's not about achievement, but about legacy. And tell me, what, from your perspective, what you feel like the Gottfried legacy is.
Well, I don't know if we have a legacy. I guess I would say that Coach Hudson was a big effect on all our lives.
Right.
We wanted to be like him. We wanted to be revered as a coach by the team, not
right.
just the fans or anybody else, but the team. And I saw some things in Coach Hudson and other people that were teachers or pastors in the town that you liked, and we watched Fred, we watched Coach Hudson, we watched him, we learned from him, and he would open the door for his wife. He'd carry the sacks of groceries. He was a polite man. You didn't want him to get off. He was tough.
Well, I can tell you, Coach,
when they said, we're not cussing, we're not
right.
We're just doing what he wants us to do.
Well, it's funny that the question was to ask you about your legacy, but what you basically covered was his legacy. His legacy being all of the kids that came through there and the impact that he had on the world. And that's a wonderful way to answer the question. And I will say this, yes, the Gottfrieds have a legacy. And I'm very proud to say that I've known y'all and had an opportunity to spend time with you. And y'all have impacted the world, and you've impacted my life. And I thank you very much for that, sir. I really appreciate that. Yes, sir.
Very nice. I knew it.
And Mike, can you just tell us a little about team focus, and we can go over Grandpa Fritz dying, and if you can just kind of tell us that story. And I know it's emotional for you, and it's emotional for me as well, and the impact that had on your life.
Yeah, we were doing great in 1955. I couldn't have been any happier playing ball and going to school and having friends and people. And one thing about Crestline, 5,000 people, if you got in trouble, everybody knew it. They'd go to Mount and go to Dad. So it was a close unity in that town. And that night when Joe went with Dad to play bowling, and I stayed home, and then he came home, and I was awake, and so we got with him and talked to him, like we did every night when he was in town. He was a river engineer, so he had to go on runs to Pennsylvania, and so Joe remembers some things, and I remember some things, but that's about 3:30 in the morning. My dad said, I'm not feeling well, and he walked to the bathroom, and he collapsed on his back, and so we all went running. And Mom said, Joe, go get the doctor. He lived 5 doors down from us. And she said, Mike, put a washcloth on his head, go water. And Johnny just stood, and way he was looking at him, he didn't know what to do. And they came probably an hour later and took him away and said that he had died.
And
You know,
And, so we got together. We never talked about it. And one day in Mobile, we were out sitting and talking, the three of us, and we started talking about it. And because we just buried it, because we said, how can this happen? But we had to move. We had to move in with different people. I went to Harbaugh for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. It was tough. And because they didn't have enough room for their family too. And Joe and Johnny went to my grandmother's house, and my mom went with the aunt. So we all got together back then. And we made a new house, rented that. So we just never talked much about it.
you know that, and what I mean, a heartfelt story, and I mean, it brings, my dad was from that same generation era that you're from, and his daddy died when he was 6 years old, and they I mean, all the kids got given away and scattered, and lived through that same thing, and I've heard all those stories my whole life about, and it's a reminder of how blessed we are that of the other people that came into his life that allowed me to do the things that I was able to do, because people that impacted him, and coaches and teachers that impacted him, or I certainly wouldn't be on a podcast talking to Mike Gottfried. And that village raised him, and just like yours did. Yes, sir.
That's a good word.
but the positive thing actually came out of it, Mike, with how you develop team focus. And for I know the plans I have for you, and I tell my daughters that all the time, Maddie and Harper, and we're all Ravens fans with Marcy, and we root for Michigan as well. And can you tell us a little bit about how team focus, the idea started with you and Mickey?
Mickey started, and she had a word that we were supposed to take some boys out to eat, and she asked me about it. I said, no. And with everybody else's boys and coaching, I'm not going to do that. I'm with my girls. She asked me a week later, and we started team focus, and it was 40 guys in the first year. 23 years old now. And we had 40 guys in that first group, and 30 of them we still talk to them today. So was working in there. We walk with him in life, because I tell him, Jeremiah 29:11, but I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Plans for you. Now I'm sitting there, and my dad dies, and I'm thinking, well, how's that going to prosper? prosper.
I still remember you bringing a big old tight end body out to Davidson in 2001 when I was a defensive coordinator, and I think you got ill because you felt like Vic had him in the wrong position. He had moved into offensive tackle or something. and he was a big old young'un though. But oh shoot!
Well, we honestly appreciate everything you've done for the community and for Mobile, starting the bowl. I mean, you've been an unbelievable mentor, friend, uncle, everything. And even whenever my dad died, and we can briefly talk about my dad, because when he died, everybody came up to me, you, and Joe at the funeral, and I think we compared notes a couple months afterwards. Everybody said, I like you, Brian. I like you, Mike. I like you, Joe. But your dad was my favorite. And Jim Harbaugh and John Harbaugh have both told me that within the last 6 months. So
Johnny was the best. Joe's, I had
yeah. And Joe actually has the best response whenever anybody says, Johnny was my favorite. Joe's always like, he was my favorite too. So, and I remember all those meetings and whiteboards that we did for South Alabama starting football. I came down to Mobile in '95, and Lisa came before me, but like literally we made Mobile home. And I think you've made a big impact on Mobile, because I can't go anywhere where anybody says thank you. And that's a pretty awesome legacy that you've left. And I think Coach talked about your legacy, and it's both coaching and the team focus. And I think team focus is where God wanted you to be. And
Mobile was great for me and my family.
And you've been great for Mobile, no question. No question. Coach, thank you so much for giving us this time. And it is an honor, and again, just whether it's people within your close circle that you've impacted, or when you get to heaven, you realize all the lives you've impacted of people you never met. And they'll come up to you and say, and hug your neck.
And Mike, literally, we were here at Lucky's Irish Pub on Airport Boulevard, and a guy that's cooking here came up to Coach Riley and hugged him.
Here comes.
I'm back here. All right. We're moving on then. That's pretty emotional.
Hey,
Yeah.
that'll get the tears flowing for me, talking about my dad, my uncles, who've been my heroes for my whole entire life. And unfortunately, Joe had a prior commitment. He couldn't come, but we're going to get him and Ronnie Arrow on in the next couple weeks to preview basketball.
All right, good deal. So,